In the land of pride and sun begins the greatest saga in the animal kingdom. From the wise King Mufasa to the heir of the throne, Simba, a tale of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable circle of life. This is the story of the Lion King. The movie begins in Africa, in a land known as the Land of Pride. At that time, all the animals in the kingdom learned that King Mufasa had a son. They gathered to congratulate the king on the birth of his new child. During this moment, the monkey Rafiki marked the face of the newborn, who was named Simba, and presented him to all the animals as an announcement that he would be the future king. All the animals celebrated this joyous occasion, except for one animal, Scar, the lion, who chose to remain in his lair and did not attend the celebration. Scar was busy trying to catch a small mouse when the bird Zazu came to inform him that King Mufasa was coming to see him, angry at his absence from the Prince Simba's birth ceremony. However, Zazu's words distracted Scar, causing him to lose focus and miss the mouse he was trying to catch. Enraged, Scar tried to attack Zazu and eat him instead of the mouse, but King Mufasa intervened at the last moment and saved Zazu. Mufasa scolded Scar, saying, "Why didn't I see you at the celebration?" Scar replied, "I completely forgot about the ceremony." From their conversation, it was clear that Mufasa and Scar were brothers, but Scar held a grudge against Mufasa. He had hoped to become king instead of him. His hatred extended to Simba because he was the rightful heir to the throne. Mufasa said to Scar, "When you speak to me, do not turn your back and walk away." He jumped in front of him, threatening, "I see it as though you are challenging me." Scar sarcastically responded, "I'm always the loser to you." Mufasa confidently replied, "There will come a day when Simba will be king over you and the entire kingdom." Scar mocked, saying, "Long live the king," and then left the place. Zazu suggested to Mufasa that Scar should be exiled from the kingdom, but Mufasa responded, "I can't do that, he's my brother, and this kingdom is his home." Several days later, Simba woke up early and went to wake his father, who had promised to take him on a tour to explore the kingdom. Simba was very excited, and Mufasa took him to the top of the high rock and pointed to the valley before them, saying, "Everything the sun touches is within your kingdom." Simba was amazed and asked his father, "Do you rule all this?" Mufasa replied, "One day, all of this will be under your care." A true king is the one who protects the kingdom and cares for all its creatures. While they were watching the horizon, Simba noticed some distant dark mountains and asked his father about them. Mufasa warned him, saying, "Never go there. That area is outside the boundaries of the kingdom." He added, "When you become king, you must learn to give as much as you take, because life is based on a delicate balance, and you must respect all creatures." After that, Mufasa and Simba began their tour of the kingdom, and on their way, they met Zazu, who informed Mufasa that hyenas had entered the kingdom and were hunting the animals. Mufasa became concerned and asked Zazu to take Simba back home while he went to confront the hyenas and protect the kingdom. Simba wanted to accompany his father and fight alongside him, but Mufasa refused, saying he was still a young cub and insisted that he return home. Simba reluctantly agreed and returned with Zazu. Simba was upset that he couldn't accompany his father, so he decided to play with the other cubs. While playing, he was distracted by a small insect and began chasing it, but he stumbled and fell off the rocks, finding himself in Scar's lair. Scar looked at Simba and coldly said, "Go back to your den. I don't sit with cubs." Simba proudly replied, "I'm not just a cub. I will become the king of the Pride Lands one day. My father took me on a tour and showed me the whole kingdom." At that moment, Scar seized the opportunity with cunning and asked, "Did your father show you the dark area in the mountains?" Simba answered, "No, my father told me not to go there." Scar smirked maliciously and said, "Your father is right, because that is the elephant graveyard, a dangerous place for a young cub. Only the big lions go there to prove their bravery and strength." Scar's words piqued Simba's curiosity and made him eager to see the elephant graveyard. Scar continued, "The area is filled with decaying bones and swamps. Promise me you won't go there, and don't tell anyone what I've told you." But Simba, overtaken by curiosity, decided to go explore the elephant graveyard on his own. Simba decided to go to the young lioness Nala and invite her to go out and play together, but his true intention was to take her to explore the elephant graveyard. As they set out, the bird Zazu accompanied them to ensure their safety. Along the way, Simba said to Nala, I've heard about an amazing place called the Elephant Graveyard. Nala eagerly agreed, but the problem was that Zazu was with them, which led them to plan a way to get rid of him. Simba reassured Nala, saying, "Don't worry, I'll find a way." While they were walking, Zazu jokingly said, "It's nice to see the future king with the future queen of the kingdom. One day, you two will be together." Simba and Nala vehemently rejected this talk, firmly stating that they were just friends. Simba responded sharply, "I won't let anyone tell me how to act or what to do, and I won't let anyone choose who I marry. That's not what kings do." While they were playing, Simba and Nala began to run and came up with a plan to distract Zazu. As they were fooling around, Simba seized the opportunity to slip away from Zazu. Zazu noticed this and realized they were heading toward the dark mountains, so he decided to return to Mufasa and inform him of what had happened. Meanwhile, Simba and Nala continued on their way, playing and joking together. Nala managed to knock Simba to the ground and put her paw on him, which made them both laugh. Suddenly, they realized they had reached the dark mountains, where they saw the decaying elephant bones. Nala began to feel uneasy and said, "We need to go back home." But Simba confidently replied, "No need to worry, we're not cubs anymore. We could do whatever we want." As they explored the area, a group of hyenas appeared and surrounded them. One of them sarcastically said, "We have royal dinner today, and we didn't expect that." Then the leader of the hyenas, Shensi, appeared and said, "Mufasa has no authority here. In this place, I do whatever I want." Simba responded defiantly, "You can't hurt me. I'm the next king." Shensi laughed and said, "Show us your strength, little king." She then began threatening to attack him. At that moment, Zazu arrived and asked Shensi to leave them, saying they made a mistake by entering this area, but if you harm them, you'll start a war with Mufasa. Shensi laughed again and said, "Hyenas and lions have been at war for a long time." She then ordered the hyenas to attack them. Simba and Nala began to run, trying to escape through narrow tunnels, while the hyenas relentlessly pursued them. The tension escalates as Simba and Nala find themselves surrounded by hyenas on all sides. Simba tries to scare them off with his juvenile roar, but the hyenas laugh mockingly at his weak voice. Suddenly, they hear a loud roar that shakes the place. It is King Mufasa, who courageously charges at the hyenas and drives them away, instilling fear in them. He warns the hyena leader, Shensi, saying, "Stay away from my son again. This is your last warning." Shensi responds with a few words, but Mufasa ignores her and takes Simba and Nala away from the area. Zazu asks Mufasa not to be too hard on Simba, saying, "Remember, you were once a stubborn cub and got yourself into a lot of trouble." Mufasa replies, "But now, I need to teach him an important lesson." Zazu leaves with Nala to head home, while Mufasa stays with Simba. He confronts him, saying, "You disobeyed my orders, and you nearly died. Do you realize you put the future of the entire kingdom at risk?" Simba answers regretfully, "I just wanted to prove my bravery to you. I want to be as brave as you. You're not afraid of anything." Mufasa responds with a gentle tone, "Today, I was very afraid. I was afraid of losing you forever." Courage doesn't mean not being afraid. It means being brave when it's worth the risk. The hyenas today were full of fear because no one messes with your father. Mufasa smiles and ruffles Simba's mane. Then they run and play together. Simba says to his father, "I hope we stay together forever." Mufasa replies with a smile, "If you ever feel lonely, look at the stars in the sky. All the kings of the past are there. They are watching over you and will guide you on the right path." Meanwhile, the hyenas return to their lair, where Scar suddenly appears. He begins manipulating them, saying, "Mufasa sent me to fight you, but I come with a better deal. I sent you Simba and Nala, and yet you failed to kill them." He blames them for their failure, but offers them a tempting proposition. "If you help me kill Mufasa and Simba, I'll become the new king. Then, I'll let you hunt freely in the Pride Lands, with no restrictions." Shensi feels some doubt and says, "But Mufasa is a tough opponent." Scar responds slyly, "I have a well-thought-out plan. Prepare for the overthrow of Mufasa." The hyenas agree and unite with him, setting the stage for the conspiracy. The next day, Scar appears with Simba in a deep valley. He cunningly tells him, "There's one thing you can do to make up for your mistake and earn your father's approval. Roar loudly. The valley we're in will amplify your voice." This is where the old lions used to train their roars. Simba, convinced by Scar's words, starts practicing his roar. Scar watches him with a sinister smile, then leaves him alone in the valley and walks away, ready for the next phase of his plan. The tension continues to rise as Simba escapes from the hyenas chasing him at a terrifying speed. He successfully hides behind a rock while Scar, with his usual cunning, runs to inform Mufasa, saying, "Hurry, your son is in danger." A herd of stampeding wildebeests is charging through the valley, and Simba is there. Mufasa immediately rushes to save Simba, who has climbed a tall tree for safety. Mufasa reaches the valley and faces the danger of the stampeding wildebeests to reach his son. He tells Simba to climb down quickly, but the wildebeests strike the tree trunk, causing Simba to fall to safety while Mufasa is critically injured in the attempt to save him. Despite his injuries, Mufasa manages to climb up the mountain, where he finds Scar waiting. He asks for help, but Scar remains silent before coldly betraying him. He wounds his own hand and pushes Mufasa off the mountain, causing him to fall into the valley below. Simba screams in terror as he witnesses his father's fall and runs to the lifeless body in the valley. He cries bitterly and lies in his father's arms, unable to believe what has happened. Scar arrives at the scene and begins to manipulate Simba, saying, "You are the reason your father is dead. What will you tell your mother when she finds out you are responsible?" Simba answers innocently and fearfully, "What do I do now?" Scar replies, "Run away. Never come back. This way, you will be safe." Simba, believing him, runs away. The hyenas appear behind Scar, and he orders them to chase Simba and kill him. Simba runs as fast as he can, trying to escape, but he slips and falls from the top of the mountain. The hyenas stop chasing him, fearing a similar fate, and decide to lie to Shensi, claiming they ate Simba, while in reality, Simba has miraculously survived by landing on a rock at the bottom of the mountain. He stumbles away from the kingdom aimlessly, wandering in the desert. Meanwhile, Scar returns to the Pride Lands and tells the lions that he tried to save Mufasa and Simba, but they both died in a tragic accident. He feigns sorrow and says, "Unfortunately, I arrived too late. Now I must take responsibility for the throne. From this day on, I am your new king." He also announces his decision to allow the hyenas to live in the kingdom, under the guise of helping maintain order. The lions, fearful of the hyenas, comply with his order without protest. Back in the desert, Simba continues walking aimlessly under the scorching heat and thirst, eventually collapsing on the ground. Vultures begin to circle overhead, waiting for confirmation of his death so they can feast on him. Suddenly, a pig named Pumbo appears, running toward them, scaring away the vultures circling around Simba, who then move away from him. Afterward, Pumba and his friend Timon notice Simba and become scared when they realize he's a lion. They start talking to each other, and suddenly Simba wakes up. They introduce themselves to him and tell him that they saved his life. However, Simba is reserved, turning his back on them and unwilling to talk. Timon and Pumba notice Simba's sadness and ask him why he's upset. Simba tells them, "I made a huge mistake and I don't want to talk about it." They reply, "We can't change the past, but we can change the future. Forget the bad things that happened before and learn to face life with courage. If the world turns its back on you, turn your back on it too. And remember our most important lesson: be flexible and ignore the problems. That's how we deal with life." Simba feels relieved by Timon and Pumba and joins them in the jungle where they live. The jungle is a peaceful place where animals live together without hurting each other. Simba loves the place and begins to enjoy his new life. At first, he thought he could eat any animal he wanted, but Timon and Pumba explain to him that this is not allowed. They tell him, "Here, we feed on the insects in the ground. They may not taste good, but they are enough to satisfy our hunger. This is our life. No rules, no responsibilities, just enjoyment and peace." Simba learns to adapt to this way of life and starts eating like them. Years pass, and Simba grows into a mature lion. Meanwhile, in the Pride Lands, the situation is extremely bad due to Scar's rule. The land has become dry, and hunting has increased excessively, making it difficult for the animals to survive. The number of large animals like wildebeest has dropped drastically. The lions, too, are gathered together, feeling discontented with the state of the kingdom. Nala speaks to Sarabi, saying, "We have to act and find a solution. You are our queen, and you need to make a decision." From this conversation, we learn that Sarabi was Mufasa's wife and Simba's mother. Despite the dire situation, Sarabi refuses to leave the kingdom and migrate, saying, "This is our land and our home. We cannot abandon it. Be patient, and the right time for change will come." Meanwhile, One of the hyenas approaches Sarabi and informs her that King Scar wants to see her. She then goes to meet him. Scar was eating a dead monitor lizard when Sarabi entered. He tried to persuade her to join him in eating, but she refused, saying, "You've overhunted, killing every animal. Even those that could survive have started fleeing the kingdom." Scar ignored her words and responded, "No animal can challenge me." He then expressed his bitterness about the past, remembering how she had chosen Mufasa over him. Scar offered her to marry him now, justifying it by saying, "The lions don't like me and won't respect me as long as you oppose me." He tried to convince her, saying, "Come closer, sit by my side, and we'll share the same food." But Sarabi firmly rejected, saying, "It's impossible for me to be your queen." Scar angrily replied, "From now on, the lions will only eat what's left by the hyenas, though they hardly leave anything behind." He then ordered the hyenas to devour the bird in front of them. Nala, who was watching the scene, was disgusted by it all. She waited until nightfall when everyone was asleep. She then snuck out of the kingdom, determined to seek help from anyone outside the Pride Lands. Meanwhile, Simba was living a carefree life, spending his days playing with insects and talking to Timon and Pumbaa about life. Timon and Pumbaa told him, "Every creature should live its life without affecting others. Live and die in peace, because life has no meaning. Therefore, you should only care about yourself." Simba was convinced by their words, and when they asked him how he felt, he answered, "I feel like I don't want to do anything in my life." They welcomed his response, praising him as it reflected their philosophy. One night, Simba was sitting alone, gazing at the sky, remembering his father. He felt a deep sadness and dozed off for a bit. During his sleep, a lock of his hair fell from him and was carried away by the wind. The lock traveled across the river waters, where a bird picked it up and flew off with it. After a while, it dropped the lock, which continued its journey across the African desert until it reached the Pride Lands. There, the wind carried it once more, and ants began to move it toward a large tree where the wise monkey Rafiki lived. When Rafiki saw the lock of hair, he immediately recognized it as Simba's. He felt a great joy and was certain that Simba was still alive. Elsewhere, Timon, Pumbaa, and the other animals were living in peace when suddenly Nala appeared, rushing toward them. She nearly attacked Pumbaa, but Simba intervened at the last moment, stopping her. They didn't know each other yet, but when Nala knocked Simba down, she immediately remembered the moments from the past when she used to do the same thing to him. Their joy at meeting each other again was indescribable. It was a moment of great happiness after such a long time. Simba recognized Timon and Pumbaa and told Nala that she would love the jungle. But she replied, "We have to leave because Scar has taken over the kingdom with the help of the hyenas. You need to reclaim your throne." However, Simba still felt guilty about his father's death and wasn't ready to return. He said, "The jungle is my home now. Stay here, and you'll be happy." He took her on a tour to show her the beautiful landscapes. They still cared for each other, but Nala asked, "Since you've been here all this time, why didn't you return to the kingdom?" Simba answered, "The kingdom is better without me, and I don't want to go back." Nala told him that Scar had destroyed the Pride Lands and insisted that she needed his help to reclaim the throne. But Simba remained steadfast in his refusal, clinging to his philosophy of being flexible and caring for nothing but himself. He said, "I no longer worry about anything because worrying is useless." Nala was shocked by what she heard and said, "You're not the Simba I knew. I came here to ask for help from any animal, but it seems I was wrong." Feeling disheartened, she decided to leave. As Simba wandered through the jungle, he reflected on Nala's words. Suddenly, he encountered Rafiki. Simba didn't initially remember Rafiki and treated him like just another animal in the jungle. But Rafiki said, "I'll help you find yourself." Simba mocked him, thinking he was crazy, but Rafiki revealed a secret and said, "I carried Mufasa's son in my hands." Simba stopped suddenly and asked, "You knew my father?" Rafiki answered, "Yes, I knew him very well. And I believe your father is still alive. Come, follow me, and you'll meet him." Simba felt confused and hesitant, but he decided to follow Rafiki. He walked behind him until they reached the river, where Rafiki told him that Mufasa had been waiting for him for a long time. He asked Simba to look at the water, and suddenly a storm appeared in the sky. Mufasa's voice came through the storm, saying, "You must reclaim your throne because this is your path in life. I am always with you, and never forget that you are the king." Simba was deeply moved by his father's words. He stood on the hill, then shouted at the top of his lungs and ran at full speed to catch up with Nala. After several hours of running, Simba finally reached Nala and told her he had changed his mind. Together, they started running toward the kingdom. When Simba saw the dire state of the kingdom, he remembered his father Mufasa's words, "You must protect everything in the Pride Lands." Upon their arrival, Zazu was waiting for Simba, overjoyed to see him again. Timon and Pumbaa also arrived, and they told Simba they would accompany him. Simba noticed that the hyenas were surrounding the kingdom, so he, Timon, and Pumbaa began brainstorming a way to distract the hyenas so Simba could enter the kingdom. Timon and Pumbaa agreed, and they started to divert the hyenas, who took the bait, giving Simba and Nala the chance to enter the kingdom. Meanwhile, Scar was asking Sarabi to marry him, but she refused, saying, "You are nothing to Mufasa." Angry, Scar started to approach her, and at that moment, Simba arrived at the scene. He stepped away from his mother and advanced towards Scar. Sarabi was in shock when she saw Simba alive, and Simba said to her, "Give me one reason why I shouldn't kill you." Scar responded, "The only reason is that you won't be able to get close to me because the hyenas are on my side." Nala added, "Your reign as king is over because the true king has arrived and all the lions are ready to fight." Scar tried to calm the situation, saying, "Why use violence? I don't want anyone in my family to get hurt." But Scar quickly turned the tables on Simba, accusing him in front of the lions, claiming Simba was the reason Mufasa had died. Simba admitted, "Yes, I am the reason, but it was an accident." Scar seized the moment and continued to provoke Simba, getting closer and saying, "You are a killer and you don't deserve to be king." Simba, as kind-hearted as ever, couldn't respond and began to retreat until he was nearly falling off the cliff. At that moment, Scar remembered a similar scene before Mufasa's death and placed his hand on Simba's shoulder, saying, "I was the one who killed Mufasa." Simba exploded with anger and grabbed Scar's fur, shouting to everyone, "Scar is the one who killed my father." The lions believed Simba's words, and at that moment, Scar ordered the hyenas to attack Simba. Simba fought with all his strength, while the lions joined the battle, and Nala helped Simba fend off the hyenas. Meanwhile, Timon and Pumbaa found themselves surrounded by hyenas from all sides, but Pumbaa, with great bravery, charged at them and attacked with all his might. After that, a fierce battle broke out between Nala and Shensi, and Zazu also joined the fight, doing what he could to help. In the end, the hyenas were about to devour Zazu, but Rafiki, who was carrying his staff, attacked the hyenas and managed to save Zazu. On the other side, the battle between the lions and hyenas raged on, and the lions succeeded in overpowering the hyenas. When the hyenas realized they couldn't win, they decided to retreat, and Scar also decided to flee when he realized he was losing. But Simba didn't let him go and followed him until they reached a dead end. Scar begged for mercy, saying, "The hyenas are the ones who rebelled against us, and they're the reason for everything. They told me I should kill your father, and I was just waiting for the right moment to kill them." The hyenas overheard Scar's words, but Simba didn't believe him. Scar said, "It's impossible for you to kill your only uncle." Simba responded, "No, I'm not like you. I won't kill you, but I want you to leave the kingdom and never return." These were the same words Scar had once said to Simba when he was young. Scar pretended to accept Simba's request and leave, but suddenly he threw fire at Simba and tried to attack him. Scar almost fell off the cliff, but Simba saved himself, and a fierce battle broke out between them. In the end, Scar slipped from the cliff and fell. Simba felt concerned about him, but he soon discovered that Scar hadn't died. While the hyenas circled around him, Scar said, "We will build a strong army and take back what's ours." But the hyenas responded, saying, "You said we were rebels, and you were just waiting for the chance to kill us." Then Shensi appeared alive. Scar said to them, "I was just fooling Simba, nothing more." But the hyenas didn't believe him and attacked him, killing him. After the battle ended, rain began to fall, extinguishing the flames of the conflict. Simba greeted all the lions, and Rafiki returned to announce Simba as the new king. Simba climbed the rock, looked at the sky, remembered his father's words, and then roared. After some time, the animals gathered to congratulate him, as he now had a cub with Nala, and the kingdom returned to its prosperous days. Years later, we find Simba standing on the same rock, addressing the animals and announcing that it is time for them to witness how his family has grown. He adds that he and Nala have fulfilled his father Mufasa's dream and continued his legacy. Meanwhile, Nala is in a distant part of the jungle, sitting beneath a rock and calling out to Simba. Simba hears her voice and decides to go to her. But before doing so, he encounters Timon and Pumbaa and asks them to look after his daughter Kiara until he returns. Timon and Pumbaa go to Kiara and try to entertain her by telling stories. During their conversation, they claim that they were the ones who killed Scar, Simba's uncle. However, Kiara objects, saying they are lying because her father Simba had told her that he was the one who killed his uncle. She adds that it is impossible for a warthog and a meerkat to kill a lion. Suddenly, the sky begins to rain, and the sound of thunder frightens everyone. Kiara feels terrified, and Timon and Pumbaa attempt to calm her down. Unexpectedly, Rafiki appears, and Kiara runs to him, telling him she is scared. Rafiki reassures her that fear is a natural feeling and a part of life for all creatures. He tells her that her father Simba was also afraid when he was her age, but overcame his fear by looking up to the sky, as his grandfather Mufasa had taught him. According to his grandfather, the sky is filled with great kings who watch over them. Rafiki decides to tell Kiara a story about one of these great kings, her grandfather Mufasa. The story flashes back to a time when Mufasa stood with his parents on a high rock. The jungle where they lived was dry and barren. Mufasa's mother tells him about a beautiful jungle called Mili, full of trees and flowers, located at the end of the path before them. She also tells him that one day, he will become the king of that jungle. Suddenly, the sky begins to rain, and everyone feels joyful, but the weather takes an unexpected turn. A hurricane hits the area, causing a massive river flood. Mufasa falls into the river and is about to drown, but his father jumps in to save him. His father manages to reach him and pull him to safety atop a dam made of tree branches. The mother was standing on the other side of the river, eagerly encouraging Mufasa to jump toward her quickly before the dam collapsed. However, the water carried away a huge elephant that struck the dam, causing it to collapse. Mufasa was thrown into the air and fell into the river, being swept away by the current. He clung to a tree branch until he found himself in a quiet place. Suddenly, a young lion cub appeared in front of him, introducing himself as Taka. Mufasa told the cub his name and asked for his help to get out of the water. But suddenly, crocodiles appeared behind Mufasa, about to attack him. At that moment, Ishi, Taka's mother, appeared and scared the crocodiles, forcing them to retreat. Ishi pulled Mufasa out of the water, but she was angry with her son Taka for abandoning her and wandering off. She wanted to take him back to the Pride, but Taka refused to go without Mufasa. Ishi tried to explain to Taka that they couldn't take Mufasa with them because Taka's father, King Obasi, would not allow strange lions among the Pride. Mufasa intervened and told her that he wasn't a rogue lion, but that he had a family and a large kingdom. He had gotten lost after falling into the river and asked her to guide him back to his family. Ishi explained that the place he was looking for was very far, but she decided to take him to the Pride. When they reached the Pride, they were confronted by Obasi, the lion leader, who was deeply upset to see Mufasa. He scolded Ishi for bringing a strange lion into the Pride. Obasi was determined to get rid of Mufasa and kill him, but Taka intervened and convinced his father that Mufasa was a lion like them, and there was no problem with him living with them. However, Obasi insisted on rejecting him, pointing out that Mufasa was not of the Pride's bloodline and might betray them when he grew up because he was a rogue lion. Mufasa stood confidently and responded to Obasi, saying he wasn't a rogue lion but had a family and roots, revealing his true name, Mufasa. At that moment, Obasi became very angry and told Mufasa that the meaning of his name was King of the Jungle. But in this place, there was only one king. He advised Mufasa to run away to save his life. Mufasa responded defiantly, saying he could easily run away because his parents had taught him how to run fast. Obasi's anger flared, and he called for his son Taka, then suggested that Mufasa race Taka. If Taka won, Mufasa would have no place among them. Ishi intervened and suggested that Mufasa could live with them if he won the race. Obasi had no choice but to agree to her proposal. Moments later, the race between Mufasa and Taka began, and both started running as fast as they could through the jungle. During the race, Mufasa encountered water in his path, and he recalled what had happened when he fell into the river with his parents. However, he shook off these memories and continued racing. During this, Taka told him that he had always dreamed of having a brother to live with. Mufasa seized a moment of hesitation from Taka and overtook him, winning the race. Obasi felt deeply frustrated by what had happened, but was forced to accept that Mufasa would live with them. However, he insisted that Mufasa live with the females, not the males, in order to weaken him and make Taka stronger, so he could become the king after him. Years passed, and Mufasa grew older, forming a very strong bond with Taka, as if they were brothers. But Obasi always interfered, keeping Mufasa away from his son, and sent him to live with the females. One day, Mufasa was on a hunting trip with Ishi, and Taka was following them, watching them. During their conversation, Mufasa told Ishi that he could no longer bear Obasi's treatment of him and explained that he didn't want to become king. All he wished for was to return to his family, as he was certain they were still alive. Suddenly, they were attacked by two massive white lions. When Taka saw the lions, he was terrified and ran away, while Mufasa bravely faced them. During the fight, one of the lions tried to attack Ishi and nearly killed her, but Mufasa charged toward it and collided with it forcefully, killing it. The other lion tried to attack Mufasa, but Mufasa managed to defeat it quickly. Afterward, Mufasa carried Ishi and brought her back to the Pride. When they returned to the Pride, Ishi told Obasi what had happened, saying that if it weren't for Mufasa's bravery, she would have died. Mufasa then explained to Obasi that the white lions were numerous and close to their area, and that they might return to attack them. However, Obasi did not believe him, saying he was still young and didn't know much. Mufasa suggested sending one of the lions to scout the area and verify his words. Obasi agreed to the suggestion and sent one of the Pride's lions to explore the area. The lion went on an expedition deep into the jungle until he reached the white lions' territory and saw their leader, Kairos, who was very angry about the death of his son. Kairos decided to seek revenge on the Pride. The lion quickly returned to Obasi to report that Mufasa's words were true and warned them that the white lions were enormous, with each one being the size of two ordinary lions. Obasi, feeling afraid, decided to send his son Taka away from the Pride because he wanted to protect him from the impending battle with the white lions and ensure the safety of his lineage so that he could start a new life elsewhere. Obasi asked Mufasa to accompany Taka and protect him. Mufasa and Taka left the Pride after bidding farewell to Ishi, running far away to escape the area. But the next day, they were shocked to find that the white lions were following them. They saw that the white lions had attacked the Pride and wiped it out. Mufasa and Taka fled as fast as they could, but the white lions chased them until the pursuit led them to the edge of a mountain. There, they were confronted by Kairos, who angrily asked, "Which one of you killed my son?" Mufasa courageously replied that he was the one who did it, clarifying that Taka had nothing to do with it, and asked Kairos to spare him. But Kairos refused and declared that he would kill them both. Faced with this situation, Mufasa and Taka had no choice but to jump into the river. They clung to a tree trunk, and the water current swept them far away from the white lions, taking them to a distant and safe place. After they emerged from the river, they found a lioness named Sarabi and a bird named Zazu in front of them. Sarabi told them that she was the daughter of the king of the Pride she belonged to, and that she had fled after her pride was attacked by the white lions, resulting in the death of all its members. Mufasa told her about the place his mother had told him about, a beautiful forest called Mill Lily. But Sarabi explained that she had never heard of this place before and that it might not exist. However, she suggested they all go together to search for it. The group began their journey, and along the way, they met Rafiki, a monkey who had been ostracized by his people due to his strange behavior. Rafiki joined their journey and became part of the group. During the trip, Mufasa noticed that Taka was attracted to Sarabi, so Taka asked for his help in winning her affection. Mufasa advised him to get closer to her, speak kindly, and say beautiful words. Taka tried to follow the advice, but at the same moment, they noticed a large herd of elephants running fast, as though they were fleeing from something terrifying. Zazu explained that the elephants were running away from a group of white lions. The group quickly moved to save themselves, with Rafiki climbing a tree to seek shelter, while Taka hid under a rock, terrified. On the other hand, Mufasa approached the elephants, trying to convince them to help them face the white lions. But the elephants ignored him and continued to flee due to their overwhelming fear. Sarabi then used her intelligence to intervene. She climbed a tree and dropped a beehive onto the elephants, causing a frenzy among them. This panic frightened the white lions and forced them to leave the area. However, in the chaos, Sarabi was accidentally knocked unconscious by one of the elephants. Mufasa quickly ran to her and carried her to safety under a large rock until things calmed down. Rafiki approached her and brought her back to consciousness. At that moment, everyone was surprised to learn that it was Taka who had saved her in the critical moment, in an effort to leave a positive impression on Sarabi. Sarabi was touched by his actions and thanked him for saving her, which brought them closer together. After Mufasa's plan to find a safe place with Zazu's help succeeded, everyone settled there for a while. In the evening, Sarabi spoke to Mufasa privately. She told him that she admired his skills and believed he was fit to be a great king in the future. She also revealed that she knew it was Mufasa who had saved her, not Taka, saying that Taka lacked the courage to do so. At first, Mufasa tried to deny it, but he eventually admitted the truth. Then Sarabi told him that she loved him and wanted to marry him. At that moment, Taka was listening to their conversation, feeling jealous and angry. He quickly left the area, lost in his thoughts and rage, until he stumbled and fell off a cliff. There, he found himself face to face with Kiros, the king of the White Lions. Taka offered Kiros a deal. He would tell him the location of Mufasa and his group in exchange for a place in the White Lion Pride. Kiros agreed to the deal and promised Taka a position among the White Lions. Taka returned to the group, pretending that he had been hunting for them, but had failed due to bad weather. Days passed, and during the journey, they arrived at a beautiful land filled with trees and roses. Mufasa realized that this was the mill lily forest he had dreamed of. Everyone was happy, including Rafiki, who told Mufasa that he would be the king of this place. But the joy was short-lived. A group of animals appeared and told Mufasa that his story had spread everywhere, and they knew that he was the brave lion who killed the son of the White Lion King. Suddenly, Kiros appeared with his pride, shocking everyone. Mufasa wondered how Kiros had found them. Kiros replied that Taka had been leaving signs along the way for them to follow. Mufasa was stunned by Taka's betrayal and couldn't believe it at first. But Taka confirmed it and bitterly told him that he had stolen everything from him. Because of Mufasa, Taka had lost his position as king and had become just an ordinary lion, even a subordinate to him. Taka's words were filled with regret and anger, revealing the deep wound he felt. The events continue to escalate as Kiros viciously attacks Mufasa, landing powerful blows and telling him that he won't kill him now, but will chase him for the rest of his life, always making him fearful and terrified. However, Mufasa seizes the opportunity and quickly escapes from Kiros. Afterwards, Mufasa calls upon the other animals to help him face the White Lions, assuring them that their unity is the only way to protect their land and their lives. The leader of the buffalo herd agrees to Mufasa's plan, and soon the other animals join in. At this point, Kiros realizes that Mufasa is a true king, and his existence poses a threat, so he decides to attack him to eliminate him. A fierce battle erupts between the animals and the White Lions, with Mufasa managing to knock Kiros off a cliff. Then Mufasa stands tall on a high rock, while the animals charge at the White Lions, and the battle intensifies. Meanwhile, Sarabi goes to gather the rest of the lions and convinces them to join the fight. Despite his injuries, Kiros regains his strength and attacks Mufasa again. At that moment, Taka feels regret and decides to support Mufasa in the battle. However, Kiros strikes Taka harshly, injuring his face. Suddenly, the ground beneath Mufasa and Kiros crumbles, and they fall into the river. A large rock falls on Kiros, killing him, while Mufasa barely survives. Mufasa emerges from the river to find all the animals waiting for him, celebrating and pledging their loyalty to him as their king. Suddenly, Mufasa's mother appears and tells him that she came to this land because she was confident that he was here. They embrace happily, but the joy is mixed with sadness when she informs him that his father has passed away. Taka comes forward to apologize for everything he has done. Zazu suggests that Mufasa banish Taka far from the forest, but Mufasa refuses, saying that he is his brother and will always stand by his side. Mufasa decides to change Taka's name to Scar, referring to the scar left by his betrayal, so that he will always remember the wrong he did. Scar leaves to live in a distant cave, while Mufasa returns to be crowned the new king. He stands proudly on the rock, symbolizing strength and leadership. In the present day, we see Kiera standing on the same rock, inspired by her grandfather Mufasa. Suddenly, Simba and Nala return, and Kiera runs to them joyfully, discovering that her mother has given birth to a little brother. She is overjoyed, as she has always wanted a sibling to share in the fun and adventures. If you love movies and movie recaps, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more. Hit like if you enjoyed the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.